I stand frozen at the back of the wedding reception hall, my wine glass trembling between my fingers. 250 elegantly dressed guests fall silent around me, their conversations evaporating like morning dew as Kendra's cutting voice slices through the room. "Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence," she announces, gesturing toward me with her champagne flute. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. The crystal chandelier light catches on my simple navy dress, the one I spent 3 paychecks on, hoping to fit in just this once. A mistake, clearly. The light fractures through my wine, casting blood-red shadows across my hand. I search for Tyler across the sea of shocked faces. My brother stands near the head table, his new bride clutching his arm. Something in my expression must register, because the hope I'd been nurturing all day crumbles as I watch him glance at our father instead of coming to my defense. "Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant and get a real career," my father adds, the words slurring slightly. He laughs, too loudly, the same booming sound that once meant safety before it became the soundtrack to my erasure. Across the room, Abigail, Tyler's new wife, catches my eye. Her lips form the words, "I'm sorry," while her hand tightens around Tyler's arm. Too little, too late. Behind her, the catering staff moves with quiet efficiency, setting up for dinner service. White-gloved hands arrange gleaming silverware. The servers' faces remain professionally neutral, though one glances my way with a furrowed brow. This morning seems a lifetime ago. Tyler's handwritten wedding invitation had arrived last month, the personal note at the bottom reigniting a hope I thought long extinguished. "I miss you, sis." After 5 years of silence, those 4 words were enough to make me believe reconciliation was possible. I'd spent hours preparing, choosing the perfect gift. A handcrafted copper cookware set that cost nearly a month's profit, practicing cordial greetings in the mirror. "Congratulations, Tyler." "She's lovely." "It's good to see you, Dad." "The venue is beautiful, Kendra." Rehearsed lines that now stick in my throat like fish bones. I'd even offered my catering services as a peace offering. "No pressure," I'd written in my response. "Just something to consider." Tyler's polite refusal came quickly. "Thanks, but we've already booked someone with more formal experience." Yet I came anyway, convinced that blood might finally be thicker than Kendra's influence. That same old foolish hope had me ironing my dress this morning, applying makeup with a steady hand, whispering, "Today will be different," to my reflection. The whispers start at the edges of the room, spreading inward like ripples in a still pond. I place my untouched wine on a nearby table with deliberate care. Nothing hasty. Nothing that could be construed as emotional. The crystal makes a small, clear sound against the polished wood. I walk toward the exit, back straight, chin lifted, each step measured and unhurried. The carpet muffles my footsteps. The whispers follow me like shadows. A young waiter steps into my path, his eyes widening in recognition. "Miss Sanchez? Are you—" I shake my head once, slightly, and he steps aside. The heavy doors close behind me with a soft thud that echoes in the empty hallway. In the sanctuary of the corridor, I pull my phone from my clutch. 3 missed calls from Marco, my operations manager. A text message appears. "Boss, aren't you at the Anderson Mills wedding? That's our new acquisitions event." I stare at the screen. Read the message again, then a third time. 2 weeks ago, we'd finalized the purchase of Elegant Occasions, a mid-sized catering company with an established client list. I'd been so busy with the acquisition paperwork that I hadn't reviewed their upcoming events roster. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I now own the catering company serving my brother's wedding. I lean against the wall, a laugh catching in my throat. My father and Kendra are in there mocking my little taco truck business while eating food provided by my company. The company that now employs 40 people. The company that grossed 7 figures last year. I straighten, tucking my phone away. The hurt transforms, hardens into something else entirely. My reflection in the mirrored wall shows a woman I barely recognize. Eyes clear, jaw set, shoulders squared. They have no idea who I've become when they weren't looking. And they're about to find out. My knuckles turn white against the steering wheel. The wedding venue shrinks in my rearview mirror, but the weight in my chest remains. I pull into a deserted scenic overlook, cut the engine, and let the silence wash over me. Rain patters against the windshield, a gentle rhythm that pulls me backward in time. I'm 15 again, standing beside my mother's casket, rain drumming on the funeral tent. My father shifts beside me, his gaze drifting across the gathering to land on Kendra Palmer, his administrative assistant. Their eyes meet, hold. My stomach twists with something I can't name. 6 weeks later, Kendra is helping us organize the house. I come home from school to find my mother's photos missing from the walls. "Where are the family pictures?" I ask, panic rising. Kendra's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Your father and I agree that redecorating will help everyone move forward." She pats my shoulder. "Change is healthy, Elena." That night, I hunt through the house, finally discovering Mother's photos boxed in the attic. 3 months later, the boxes disappear entirely. When I confront my father, he sighs like I'm being difficult. "Kendra donated some old things. We can't live in a museum, honey." The memories cascade faster now. College application season, my father reviewing Tyler's essays while I work the night shift at Denny's Purple Aster. My brother's 18th birthday, a new Camaro, in the driveway with a giant red bow. My straight-A report card met with a distracted nod over my father's newspaper. The rain falls harder against my windshield, matching the rhythm of my heart. Then comes the memory that broke me. 4 summers ago, my roommate forwarding a real estate listing. "Isn't this your address?" The familiar colonial with the yellow door. "Sold," emblazoned across the photo. I call my father, straight to voicemail. I text Tyler, who responds with shocked emoji. He didn't know either. I drive 90 miles an hour on the interstate, skidding into the driveway as movers load the last furniture into a truck. The backyard, my mother's garden, her roses that I'd helped plant when I was 9 bulldozed into mud, a construction crew already marking the outline for the new owner's pool. My father emerges from the garage, clipboard in hand. "What's happening?" My voice sounds foreign, strangled. He checks his watch. "The closing was yesterday. We're just finishing up." "You sold our house without telling me?" Mother's garden is gone. Tears burn my eyes. Her roses. "You don't live here anymore anyway." He signs the clipboard, hands it to the foreman. "Kendra and I found a condo downtown, better for our lifestyle." "What about Mother's things, the keepsakes in the attic?" His eyes slide away. "We downsized significantly." 5 years of silence followed. 5 years of rebuilding myself from the ground up. I started with a single taco truck my senior year of college. Worked 18-hour days, slept on a cot in my apartment's walk-in closet to save on rent. Some nights, when catering events ran late, I curled up in the truck's back corner rather than drive home exhausted. 1 truck became 2. Then a brick-and-mortar kitchen. Then corporate contracts. While my father and Kendra dismissed my little hobby, I built something solid. 40 employees now depend on me. 7 figures in annual revenue. At every family gathering I wasn't invited to, Kendra would send messages through mutual acquaintances. "How's the cute food truck hobby going? Still playing chef?" My phone buzzes against the passenger seat, jolting me back to the present. Marco's name flashes on the screen. "Boss, you still there?" His voice sounds concerned. I pulled the contract. Elegant Occasions finalized the acquisition 3 weeks ago. It's legally under Elevated Events now. "Send me the contract terms." "Already did. Check your email." Marco hesitates. "Elena, I saw the security footage from the venue. The audio-visual team uploads it automatically to our system for event documentation." My stomach drops. "You saw what happened?" "Everyone did, the staff is." He searches for words. "They're pretty upset on your behalf." The email notification chimes. I open the attachment, scanning until I find it. Clause 8.3. Termination rights in cases of discriminatory treatment of ownership or staff. My phone buzzes again. Nina, my attorney since the food truck days, responding to my emergency text. Contract is ironclad, she writes. Discriminatory comments about business owner constitutes grounds for immediate service termination. Venue's security footage provides evidence. I stare at the rain-blurred lights of the city below. The wedding coordinator, Jaime, had recognized me at the reception. The subtle widening of her eyes, the quick professional recovery. Now it makes sense she's worked with elegant occasions for years. My finger hovers over Marco's number. One call could halt the entire reception dinner. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Part of me, the 15-year-old watching her mother's photos disappear, the college student working 3 jobs, the daughter finding her childhood home sold without warning, wants to make that call. But another part hesitates. Tyler's note. I miss you, sis. Maybe there's still a chance to rebuild. Then Kendra's voice echoes. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. My father's slurred addition. Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant and get a real career. I press the call button. Decision made. Marco, I need you to execute termination clause 8.3. My voice sounds calm, professional. CEO voice. Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Silence on the other end. Is that clear? Crystal clear, boss. Marco's tone shifts to business mode. Consider it done. I slide behind the wheel of my Mercedes, hands steady as I reach for my phone. A strange calm washes over me, replacing the humiliation that burned my cheeks moments ago. The screen lights up with another text from Marco. Boss, need instructions. We're fully set up for dinner service. My thumb hovers over the call button. Through the windshield, I can see the reception hall's grand entrance where a server has just stepped outside for a cigarette break. He wears the elegant occasions uniform now, technically. I press call. Elena? Marco answers on the first ring. I thought you were attending as a guest? Change of plans. My voice sounds different, crisp, detached, all CEO. The voice I use in boardrooms when acquisitions are on the table. I need you to execute a full withdrawal. Immediately. Silence on the line stretches for 3 beats. A fuller, you sure? The main course is prepped, cake's already on display. Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. I start the engine, the quiet purr matching my controlled tone. Tell everyone to leave, absolute professionalism. No explanations to guests. Marco clears his throat. This is your brother's wedding, right? Half-brother. The correction slips out before I can stop it. And yes. Another pause. I can picture Marco's expression, the furrow between his brows that appears whenever unexpected complications arise. You got it, boss. Clean exit, 15 minutes tops. His loyalty doesn't require explanation. He's been with me since the first food truck, sleeping in his car during those early catering events when we couldn't afford hotel rooms. Marco, when the venue coordinator asks why, and she will simply state that clause 8.3 of the contract has been triggered. Discriminatory treatment of ownership, he recites from memory. This isn't personal, I say, though we both know that's not entirely true. It's a business decision. I end the call and back out of my parking space, positioning my car where I can observe the service entrance without being seen from the main doors. Within minutes, I witness the silent ballet begin. White uniformed staff exit in small groups, carrying covered trays and equipment with practiced efficiency. The wedding kekia 4-tier monstrosity that Kendra probably chose for the Instagram photos disappears into the back of our largest refrigerated truck, carefully boxed. A text from Marco flashes on my screen. Venue coordinator intervening. Handled professionally. I can imagine the scene inside. The coordinator's growing panic as she realizes what's happening. Kendra's confusion turning to outrage. My father's demands falling on the deaf ears of venue staff, who have no authority to stop this. Another text. Tables being cleared now, minimal disruption. I zoom in on my rearview camera as one of our newer hires, Javier. I think his name is, loads the last of the crystal champagne flutes into a padded case. His movements are quick but careful, nothing rushed or dramatic. No one watching would realize this is anything but standard procedure. My phone buzzes persistently now. A call from an unknown number, likely the venue. Decline. A text from Tyler. What the hell is happening? Ignore. The wedding coordinator. Emergency, caterer leaving, call me. Delete. I pull away from the venue, driving toward the hill country outside the city. The sunset paints the sky in colors my mother would have loved, deep pinks fading to purple. She taught me to appreciate these moments, to find beauty even when life felt fragile. The sky never forgets to change, Elena, she'd say during her final months. Remember that nothing stays the same forever. 10 miles from the venue, I pull into a scenic overlook. The city glitters below, distant and small. My phone continues its symphony of alerts. The weight I've carried for years, the dismissals, the casual cruelty, the erasure from my own family narrative doesn't exactly lift. But something shifts inside me, subtle yet profound. This wasn't a screaming match or a dramatic scene. Just business consequences for personal disrespect. For the first time in years, a genuine smile forms on my lips. Small, but real. I take out a business card, the new ones, with the embossed logo that took 6 design revisions to perfect, and write on the back. Contract terminated per clause 8.3, discriminatory treatment of ownership. My phone rings again, Tyler this time. I silence it and pull back onto the road, heading home. By now, 250 hungry guests are wondering where dinner went. Kendra is likely in full crisis mode. My father, never one to handle unexpected challenges soberly, is probably at the bar. None of them know who actually pulled the plug. The name Elevated Events Catering appears on the contract, not Elena Sanchez, estranged daughter and sister. The business was registered under my corporation, with Marco as the signatory on this particular event. The connection is there, but requires actual interest in my life to discover something my family has never demonstrated. As I navigate the evening traffic, the calls continue, growing increasingly desperate. Tyler, the venue, unknown numbers, and finally, my father. Years ago, that last one would have sent me into a spiral of anxiety and hope. Now, I simply connect my phone to the car speakers and let box cello suite number 1 drown out the notifications. Sometimes the loudest statement is the one made in silence. I turn onto my street, where my condo building rises against the darkening sky. The doorman nods as I pull into my reserved spot. He doesn't know about my evening, about the power shift that occurred without a single raised voice. "Evening, Miss Sanchez," he says, opening my car door. "Everything all right? You're home earlier than you mentioned this morning." "Everything's exactly as it should be, Frank," I answer. And for the first time in a very long time, I mean it. Sunlight streams through my kitchen window, casting honey gold patterns across the marble countertop. The coffee maker hisses and bubbles, a comforting morning ritual untouched by yesterday's chaos. My hands remain steady as I pour the dark liquid into my favorite mug, the one with hand-painted lilies that Mom gave me on my 15th birthday. My phone vibrates against the counter for the 19th time this morning. The screen illuminates with Tyler's name, joining the parade of missed calls and unread texts that began at dawn. I take a deliberate sip of coffee before finally glancing at his message. "Someone sabotaged our wedding. The caterer just disappeared. Dad's lawyer is involved. Call me back." The corner of my mouth twitches. I scroll through the digital avalanche, each message more frantic than the last. Kendra's text glows with barely contained rage. "Your father is furious about the wedding disaster. Good thing you weren't responsible. Wouldn't want to further disappoint him." Even now, she can't resist the barb. I play Dad's voicemail on speaker, his words slurring together like wet cement. Those criminal caterers. Breach of contract. Sue them into the ground. My golf buddy Jeff handles corporate litigation. I silence the phone mid-rant, the calm in my chest surprising me. The family group chat explodes with notification a digital wildfire of blame and outrage. Has anyone tracked down the company owner? Dad demands. I'm organizing the guests to write reviews, Kendra chimes in. We need to destroy their reputation like they destroyed our special day. Between their fury, a smaller voice appears, Tyler's new wife, Abigail. Maybe we should understand what happened before we attack them. Could there have been a misunderstanding? Her reasonable question vanishes beneath Kendra's response. No misunderstanding. They humiliated us in front of everyone who matters. I forward screenshots of everything to Martina, my lawyer. She responds within minutes. Security footage received from venue. Excellent documentation of the discriminatory treatment. The termination clause was textbookable. A tiny smile forms as I imagine her methodical approach. Martina had practically clapped when I showed her the venue's security footage yesterday evening. Kendra's theatrical mockery of my little taco truck business captured in high definition. My father's slurred reinforcement clearly audible. Your company's reputation remains spotless. She adds, 47 5-star reviews and not a single contract violation in 5 years. The evidence supports your position completely. My phone pings with a private message from an unexpected source, Mrs. Goldstein, Dad's longtime neighbor. Elena, I saw how they treated you at the wedding. Disgraceful at their age. Your mother would be horrified. I've watched you build that business from nothing while they dismissed you. Some might call this karma. 3 more supportive messages appear from guests who witnessed my humiliation. Then, most surprising of all, a text from Abigail. I'm so sorry about yesterday. This isn't what I wanted for our family's spring. I set my phone down, needing a moment to process this shift. 5 years of silence, and suddenly everyone has something to say. Marco calls while I'm refilling my coffee. Boss, you should know something, he begins, voice careful. Mrs. Anderson. Mills is organizing some kind of review campaign, but it's backfiring. 3 guests from yesterday's event have already called requesting quotes for their own functions. They were impressed with what they saw before. Well, before the service ended. I lean against my kitchen counter. And Kendra has no idea who owns Elegant Occasions? None. Your father's lawyer sent a threatening letter addressed to management. Should I forward it to Martina? Yes, I say, watching a hummingbird hover near my balcony flowers. Send everything. After we hang up, I check the family chat again. The tone has subtly shifted. Someone in aunt perhaps has asked my father if Elena was at the wedding. Another voice questions why the catering staff left so abruptly. The narrative Kendra tried to control begins to fray at the edges. My laptop chimes with an email from Martina containing a draft response to my father's legal threats. The offer? 40% refund, conditional on a signed NDA, and release of all claims. Her note reads, this acknowledges their inconvenience while maintaining your legal position. They'll take it. I close the laptop without responding immediately. There's no rush. For once, I hold all the cards in this family game. The coffee tastes particularly rich this morning as I gaze out at the city skyline. 5 years ago, I slept in my taco truck to save money. Today, I run a company that makes my father's lawyer nervous. These thoughts should feel like victory. Instead, I find myself wondering if Tyler's new marriage will become another casualty of our family's poisonous patterns. Even now, with everything that's happened, that thought brings no satisfaction. The phone rings again. This time I answer. I study my lawyer's face as she lays out the evidence before my father's attorney, a balding man whose silk tie cost more than my first month's rent. We sit in the sterile conference room of a downtown law office, neutral territory. As you can see, Miranda says, sliding the tablet across the polished mahogany, we have clear video documentation of the client's public humiliation at what was, technically speaking, her own business event. The video plays. Kendra's voice cuts through the room again. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. My father's laughter follows. Miranda taps a manicured finger on the contract. Section 8.3 explicitly states termination can occur in cases of discriminatory treatment toward ownership or staff. Miss Sanchez was well within her rights. My father's attorney, Mr. Benson, removes his glasses and pinches the bridge of his nose. His shoulders slump forward half an inch, enough for me to know we've won before he speaks. Given the circumstances, he says carefully, accepting the settlement offer would be advisable. The power has shifted. 5 years of dismissal, and now they sit across from me, negotiating on my terms. Across town, Kendra works the phone like a politician facing recall. My phone buzzes with texts from family friends suddenly interested in my side of the story. Elena, darling, I always told your father how impressed I was with your business acumen, writes Aunt Patty, who once asked if I needed money for real clothes at Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago. Kendra says she's been your biggest cheerleader. Is that true? Asks my father's golf partner's wife. I set my phone face down on my desk and turn to the window. My company's name stretches across the parking lot sign, Elevated Events Catering. Not a taco truck in sight, though I keep the original restored in our headquarters lobby. A reminder. Miranda enters with coffee and arches an eyebrow. Kendra called me directly. Offered to smooth things over woman to woman. Said you were always too sensitive about constructive criticism. I snort. What did you tell her? That I bill $400 an hour for smoothing. Miranda's lips twitch. She hung up. Tyler sits in my waiting room when I return from lunch. His face is drawn, eyes rimmed with sleeplessness. The honeymoon to Bali postponed, according to the society pages. You could have told me, he says when I invite him into my office. I gesture to the leather chair opposite my desk. Would you have believed me? He shakes his head, looking around at the awards lining my walls, the framed magazine feature calling me Dallas's catering wonderkind. Abigail gave me an ultimatum, he admits. Set boundaries with them, or he trails off, twisting his wedding band. I found photos, he continues after a long silence. In Dad's study, all those pictures Kendra said were lost in the move. His voice catches. Mom holding you at the lake. Your quinceañera. All of them. Hidden, not lost. Something breaks loose inside my chest. Not a dam, more like a single brick dislodging from a wall I've maintained for years. She wanted you to forget her, Tyler says. I let her do that. I'm sorry, Elena. 2 days later, we gather at Miranda's office. My father signs the NDA with a fountain pen that scratches loudly in the silence. Kendra's face remains frozen in fury beside him. The matter is settled, Miranda announces. Elegant Occasions remains under Elevated Events ownership. No further legal claims will be pursued by either party. The incident will not be discussed publicly. The settlement cost me nothing but saves their pride. I didn't want their money. I wanted acknowledgement. The documents contain no apology, but signatures speak their own truth. Kendra opens her mouth. My father touches her wrist in warning. She snaps it shut. Elena, my father begins, his voice uncertain. I stand, gathering my portfolio. The documents cover everything necessary. The words come out steady, professional. I extend my hand. He stares at it for 3 seconds before shaking it briefly. Business concluded. Tyler awaits me in my headquarters 2 weeks later. I give him the tour myself, the industrial kitchens, the tasting rooms, the fleet of catering vans emblazoned with our logo. Jesus, Lena, he whispers, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. 7 figures, 40 employees, all this while they were. He trails off, staring at the original taco truck displayed proudly in our lobby. While they were telling everyone I was playing restaurant, I finished for him. Yes. He slumps into a chair in my office, running a hand through his hair. Kendra's been moving money, since before the wedding, Dad's retirement accounts, the house equity. I wait, saying nothing. I think that's why she pushed so hard for me to marry into Abigail's family, he continues. Connections, money, it was never about love. And now? Now Abigail and I are looking at houses in Austin. His smile reaches his eyes. Fresh start. Away from all of it. I nod, feeling neither triumph nor vindication, just quiet affirmation of what I've known all along. That sounds healthy. The Anderson Family Charity Gallamy, newest client, bustles around me. I move through the crowd in a simple black dress, overseeing my staff with unobtrusive signals. 3 society matrons, who once ignored me at Kendra's garden parties, now compete for my attention. Elena, darling, we must talk about my daughter's wedding. Mrs. Whitfield gushes. I smile graciously and pass her my business card. My events coordinator would be delighted to set up a consultation. Across the room, Tyler and Abigail enter, making their first public appearance since the wedding disaster. Abigail spots me and weaves through the crowd, Tyler following. Beautiful event, she says, genuine admiration in her voice. Your staff is incredible. Tyler hands me a small velvet pouch. Found this in the packing, thought you should have it. Inside lies our mother's silver locket, the one Kendra claimed had been misplaced during the move. The cool metal warms against my palm, a small piece of my history reclaimed. I don't cry, don't gloat, don't need to. I simply stand in my truth, a woman who built an empire while they weren't looking. I stand at the floor-to-ceiling windows of my expanded headquarters, watching the sunset paint the Dallas skyline in hues of amber and gold. The new event space below stretches out in elegant minimalism copper accents, catching the fading light, tables arranged with mathematical precision. My reflection hovers like a ghost against the glass, and for a moment I see my mother's eyes looking back at me. 1 year. That's all it took to transform everything. On my desk, a silver frame holds a recent photo, Tyler and Abigail flanking me at their favorite restaurant, all of us laughing at something Abigail said. Beside it sits another frame, this one holding the business license for Elevated Events Catering. No longer seeking validation from people who refuse to give it, I've found something better. Peace in my own skin. My phone buzzes with a calendar reminder. Dinner with Tyler and Abby, 7:30. Our monthly tradition now, these dinners. Sometimes they're quiet affairs with deep conversation. Other times they're filled with laughter and plans for the future. Always, they're honest. I touch the small pendant at my throat, the only piece of my mother's jewelry I managed to save from the purge. Behind me on the credenza sits a photograph of the memorial garden I planted at my home. Rosemary for remembrance, lavender for peace. All the flowers my mother once tended, now growing again. Your 4 o'clock is here, Marco says from the doorway. My operations manager now cook gestures to a nervous-looking young woman clutching a portfolio. Send her in, I say, turning from the view. And Marco, thanks for staying late to prep for tomorrow's mentoring session. He nods, understanding the significance. The young entrepreneurs program all kids from broken homes, foster care, or family situations that mirror what mine once was. Giving them what I never had. Someone who believes in their vision. Last week, my father called. Our conversations remained brief, stilted with the awkwardness of too much history and too little practice at honesty. But they happen now. Small steps. His voice no longer slurs, and he's stopped defending Kendra's actions. Progress, of a sort. Kendra herself remains bitter, spreads occasional rumors about my business practices. I've learned to let them wash over me like rain on a window. My life no longer has room for her opinions. Tyler has found his own path to healing. He and Abigail bought a small house across town, far enough from our father's influence to establish their own traditions. Close enough to join me for impromptu Sunday brunches when the mood strikes. The renewal ceremony they held last month was everything their original wedding should have been: intimate, joyful, honest. My team catered it with quiet pride, and I stood beside Abigail as her witness. When several family friends commented on the difference, "You all seem so much happier now," I just smiled. Some truths need no explanation. The scholarship fund I established in my mother's name will send its first recipient to culinary school next fall. The original taco truck sits in our headquarters lobby, restored in Glamingo, reminder of beginnings and persistence. Employees bring their children to see it. Tell them anyone can build something meaningful if they refuse to give up. Later, after everyone has gone home, I unlock my bottom desk drawer and remove an old photo album. My mother smiles up at me from a faded Polaroid, her arms around 7-year-old me as we make tortillas together, her hands guiding mine, flour dusting our cheeks. "I think you'd be proud," I whisper to her image. Not of the business, but of the trees. Standing up for myself wasn't revenge, it was respect. The bridges I chose not to rebuild weren't failures. They were acknowledgments of foundations too damaged to support anything healthy. I close the album and place it back in the drawer. Through the windows, stars have begun to appear in the darkening sky. I gather my things, turn off the lights, and head out to meet my brother and his wife. My chosen family waits. Some bonds are forged in blood, others in choice. The strongest are built on respect.